Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili Nishmasi Mimirosi Ruspas Mordechai. I don't know what it is. I think it's like the morning, the early morning. I get a shtickle emotional. So over here, we spoke about this tzaddik. He was at the shir last Motzei Shabbos in Ranana. They rushed him to the hospital. Avi, what's his name? It's on your phone now. Look at your name. We need to say Tehillim, but he brought, the one thing he brought, he said, the one thing, when they rushed him to the hospital, was his Gemara. Shmuel Nachum ben Rus l'Refuah Shlema. So we heard from Morty Rasby on Friday. And he says like this, here I have a few texts here. He wrote to Avi Kamiansky. He says, I'm in the hospital bed just finishing listening to the daf. I have to apologize. Instead of answering Ravelli's question in 60 seconds, I sidetracked to tell why he joined and why he was so excited. So he says, if he could get somebody to join the shir because of his story, he'll be beside himself. And then he goes on to say, down for me tomorrow morning, I'll have to make up the shir. This is what he's concerned about. I'll have to make up the shir when I wake up, when I'm recovering from the operation. Rabbi Isai, this is a person who said that he hated Gemara. Hated Gemara until a month ago. My Gemara is right next to me. Have a good night. And then, this morning at 6:35, it's 7:19 in Eretz Yisrael now. At 6:35 this morning, here's a text. It's a picture of Morty Rasby in the hospital with a gown, holding his Gemara, wearing his tefillin. And on the bottom, I didn't put this in the beginning, but I said, you know what? Let's put it in. On the bottom it writes, Gemara with me at all time, thanks to MDY. And it goes, I'm scared, Avi. It choked me up. He's scared. He's human. So let's daven for him. Here, I have it over here. Yosef Newman, who we spoke about, is also going through a very tough time with chemo. Sponsored today's shir, l'schus a successful surgery and complete quick recovery from Mordechai Shlomo ben Sarah Tilly, the Karvi, who's having the surgery right now as we speak. So happier news. Hi Rebelli, just another proof how the emails you read out loud are so inspiring. I've just landed here in the UK after a few hours in the air, listening again to the first 5 daf in Moed Katan. All in the schus of that airport Chazara email from Mo Landy he's talking about, that you read last week. Movies out, dafing in, Shapsi Cohen, Beitar, and Manchester. Here he is. 5 daf on the plane. Now, we're starting a new trend. We're not just doing the daf on the plane, we're doing Chazar of an entire Masech on the plane. Thanks to Mo Landy. Huh? What's the Shabbos on the plane? Okay. What do we have here? Next. I have a bunch of emails here. Which one should I read? I'm only going to read one. Not this one. Interesting. At the Gouda convention, he had a booth next to the MDY guys. I honestly thought these guys were a little strange. They're boxes of Gemaras. They're trying to sell Gemaras to other people. The Kitzer, he got hooked in there by mistake, and now it's a game changer. He's a visual learner, and the charts are off the charts. Since you're such an anav, you don't have to read this email out loud to inspire me, no end, da-da-da-da-da. Okay. By the way, he has a good way of upping the 200 words per minute from the Chavetz Chaim. It's called double speed. I can get 400 per minute from Rebelli. The bonus is sing Nachman Seltzer, my Chavrusa from Lakewood days, Sruli down. Another guy. It's like, oh my goodness, every day it's somebody else. Everybody's your Chavrusa. This is from Chaim Perez Levine, who had a tremendous... Okay, let's go. We got to start. All these will come a different day. The sponsor for this month's Koilel is Mr. Anonymous, Lili Nishmas Chaya Bas Yosef. Masechet Chagigah is dedicated by the Kessler and Davis families, Refuah Shlema, for Miriam Esther Bas Dvara Bekorov. Parents HaChodesh is Chus for Refuah Shlomo Ben Livsha and Rivka Bas Gila that should be Zoicha to Zeresh Al Kayama Bekorov. The MDY family sponsoring Lili Nishmas Reb Shalom Baruch Yudah Zuchron Levracha Ben Rav Yosef Yechiel Michal Shlita Reb Yidi Leibowitz by Eliza Navi Sherman on the occasion of Yutes Adar, in recognition and thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the ultimate healer, for what he has done on her behalf, may bring a refuah shlema l'chol chayli Yisrael. Amen. And we said Yosef Newman, let's chus a successful surgery and complete quick recovery from Mordechai Shlomo ben Tili by Usher Lang, L'zeich Nishmas Yitzchok Moshe ben Michal on his first yahrzeit, and for Shiduchim for his granddaughters, Hannah Bashendel Esther and Freda Bashendel Esther. She get engaged. Big Korei Mamish. Rabbi, today is Daf Yud Aleph. We are 10 daf into the Masechta. 2 lines down. We are trying to figure out, for those of you who didn't see yesterday's shir, what's this? Harim Hatluyim Besara, mountains of halachas that are hanging literally by a thread. So, the Gemara tried to say, we're talking now about Me'ilah, about using something from the Beis HaMikdash. I think Gemara first started off, Rabbi had a pshat. Perhaps it's this idea that if somebody sends a shliach, he sends somebody to be moyel, to take something out of the Beis HaMikdash, the shliach is the one that's over on the milah and not the sender, and that's contrary to what we know in the Torah of ein shliach l'dvar aveira. And the Gemara says that's not such a big chiddush. The whole idea of mi'ilah is that you don't know what you're doing, because if you knew what you're doing, you're not chayev. That's called mezid. So that can't be the pshat. Although we're going to go back to that pshat in a second. So what is it? Ela miseifa. Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph, 2 lines down. If you take a beam and you build it into your house, you're not over until you benefit from it a whole pruta. You sit underneath it, it's raining, and the fact that the rain is not hitting your head, that gives you hana of 1 pruta, then you're chayav. Says the Gemara, how do you get into your house? You had to chop it down, you had to size it up, you had to drill it in, you had to cement it in, whatever you did, you changed the beam. Mali dar, mali loydar. So then what is the difference if you were living under it or not living under it? Hainu kaharorim hatlim b'sa'ara. And that's why this is an interesting halacha that we don't understand so well. Nevertheless, you have to benefit from it. A shavi pruta, even though it doesn't make sense to us logically. And Mela, that's a halacha that's hanging by your hair. Says Gemara, my kushya, Dilma, look at the Rav. Doma Rav, Kigoin shenicha al pi aruba. He used it, there was a chimney or a skylight, and he put it on top. Now, I was going to go with the Mary Poppins thing, forget it, whatever. I'm not going to go there. He put it on top of the chimney, he covered it. But you can just take it right off. It's not built in. It's a cover. Imagine a piece of wood just covering. So therefore, idar be'in, loydar be'lay. So therefore, you have to benefit from it. It's not built in. You asked me a question. Oh, you chopped it, you drilled it, you dissed it, you cemented it. He didn't. He just put it on top of his roof to close a hole. And now, if he benefits from it, a shavar pruta, great. If not, not. I don't remember all the details. You'll fill in the details. There's a guy that came to the Rav, a non-Jew. He says, I want to learn Gemara. So he says, it's very complicated. He says, I'm good at complicated stuff. So he says, okay, there's 2 guys that went through a chimney. One was dirty, one was clean. Who washed his face? He says, the guy that's dirty. He says, no. The guy that's dirty doesn't know that he's dirty because he looked at, so the other guy. No, not that guy, because he made 4 mistakes. And finally he says, both of them, I don't remember exactly how it goes. And he says, no, you didn't understand Pshat, says the Rav. How is it possible that one is not dirty? Oh, okay. Fine. Al pi aruba, idar be'in, iloy de'over loy. Eloi lam kidirava. So we're going back to Rav's Pshat. Shalom Aleichem, how are you? We're going back to Rav's Pshat. That what? We're talking about Me'ilah, and Me'ilah, that there's a sender and a messenger. Typically, if I send somebody to kill somebody or I send somebody to steal, who's over? the messenger, not the sender. Over here, when it comes to Me'ilah, the sender is chayiv. But we said that's not such a big chiddush, because at the end of the day, it's the person that commits the act b'shagig. So the messenger is b'shagig. What's the big deal? So the Gemara says, no, I'll tell you what the chiddush is. Anytime somebody benefits from hegdish, it has to be inadvertently. It has to be a shagig, because otherwise, if it's mazid, he's not chayiv a karban, he's not chayiv a chaimish. Hashem will take him in a different way. But the whole idea of me'ilah is when you do it by mistake. Says Gemara, there's a mistake and there's a mistake. If a person has a wallet of hegdish in his house and a wallet of regular money, and he goes in and he takes the money of hegdish by mistake, that's a shagig. He should have paid attention. So that's why he has to bring a carbon. Hacha miyada, he doesn't know at all. He's such a. It's not a shagig. It's a einus. It's karev la'einus. He's a messenger. The guy says, "Go into that box, take some money out of there." He has to know that that box might be hegdish money. How's he supposed to know? There's no way in the world he's supposed to know. We said yesterday even more so. You have a messenger and you have a sender. And if the sender realized during the way that it's hegdish, he's not chayiv. And what happens if the guy purchases something, right before he purchased, the messenger purchases and he realizes that it's hegdish? Right before, you know what's chayiv? The store owner. That's a chiddush shein kamayu. The store owner, he has no idea. All money that comes to him, he has to know, oh, it's hegdish money, it's not hegdish money. No, that's a special chiddush by hegdish. He has to know. Similarly, as a mashal, this whole idea that I was saying the other day, I just told one of my neighbors, and this could be applied to you, Avi, and to anybody that has a Junkers, automatic water. We're going back to that. When you turn on the hot water, immediately what happens is this machine lights up a fire. It's a real fire. It's Eish on Shabbos. So I said, okay, if you light it up, b'shoigeg yuchayv achatas. So the guy in the koil told me, he's a big Talmud Chacham. He's doing the test now on 1,000 daf, not 850. He says, no, it's a misasik. So I argued with him, and at the end he said, I might be right. That what? I know, similar to this, I know that I have hot water and cold water. I wasn't paying attention. So that's a shoygig. Not paying attention. But let's say I don't know there's hot water at all. It's one of these faucets. I thought it's only cold water. And I turn it on, I'm turning on that. That's a einus. Then you're not, that's what he's talking about. That's the difference. When you know there's two things here, and you aren't careful, that's a shoygig. When you don't even know it exists, that's a einus. Karev la'einus is Rashi. Mikra, since it really doesn't make any logical sense to us, so that's a halacha that's hanging by a here. Final time, I'll show it because some guys just walked in. Okay, great. Next, mikra muad v'halachas merubais. So the Mishnah brings things that have very little psukim, but a lot of halachas attached to it. Tana negaim. Negaim are tsaras. Tsaras v'oyalois. Oyalois is when there's a body in a house. The entire house becomes tamei. How does that work? Where does it work? How can you stop it if there's an open window? Many halachas. Mikra muad v'halachas merubas. Very few psukim, many halachas. Ask the Gemara, negaim, mikra muad, negaim mikra merubahu. You know how many psukim there are on negaim? Tazriya mitzaira. Almost the entire Parshas Tazriya, besides a few psukim in the beginning, and a ton of mitzaira. That's the name, mitzaira, tzaras. A total of 116 psukim I counted, and you're going to tell me it's one after another, 116 psukim straight about tzaras. And you're telling me that there's not enough psukim? More halachas than psukim? Doesn't make sense. You're right. When it comes to tzaras, ton of psukim, very few halachas. Relatively speaking to the amount of psukim, there's not as many halachas as psukim. There's not 116 halachas in the Torah. But you're right. Mikra muad halachas merubas, that in fact has very few words and a lot of halachas. Look at the mishnayos, a lot of mishnayos, from the most difficult ones. So who cares? A lot of psukim, a few psukim. If you have a question when it comes to tzaras, I'm bekroy, look inside the pasuk. And if you have a question in Oilis, I'm b'masnisin, pull out the here. Let me see one of those Oilis. See if you find right next to you Oilis. Probably at the end. It's in the pasuk. It tells you exactly. Is it 3 times? How many times? Who does it? The kohen does it. Upasa nega. He comes back. He comes again. So if you have any shilas, here, look at this. Oyalois. A whole sefer on Oyalois. This is a great one. Wow. Look at this. The art school did a phenomenal job here. All the pictures and everything. The whole entire thing is full of pictures. Okay. In color also. Fine. But you have all this. Oyalois. Thank you. Dinin. Now, we're moving away, by the way, from this idea of that it's hanging by a thread. The Mishnah said there's some things that have a smach in the Torah. It's not a thread. There's a smach in the Torah. For instance, dinim. It says Gemara michtav ksivim. Dinim are the whole mishpatim. It's michtav ksivim. It says in the Torah. Lo nitzrecha elo liked Rebbe. There's a case that is a big chiddush. Here's a shayla. It happens in Chicago every night, at least 5 times. Drive-by shootings. Guy driving a car, takes out a machine gun, tries to mow down the guy from the rival gang, and by mistake kills a 10-year-old kid. Chayiv or not chayiv? On the kid. He intended to kill that person, he killed another person. Machlaikis. Machlaikis. Comes Rebbe and says, Rebbe Yomer, nefesh tachas nefesh. Even in this case, you're chayiv, but only money. Mamoin atoimer, mamoin enoi ela nevesh mamish. It says in the Torah, nevesh, kill him. He's a killer. Kill him. No, never nasina lamato, never nasina malo. By when somebody kicks a woman who's pregnant and she loses her child, so he has to pay money. So too, when he inadvertently kills somebody, we don't kill him, we charge him. How much does he have to pay? I looked it up. How much does a slave cost? Rabbi, does anybody know how much a slave costs? If you had a guess, anybody guess, how much does a slave cost today? In our day, in money, in our day. How much? $150. No, anybody else? How much? $1,000? You get it. So think about it. You get a whole human being to work for you day and night, plow your field forever for $150. You think that's logical? It's $50,000. $50,000. Only very wealthy people could afford the slaves. I'm talking about if you take what it costs in the 1800s, today's money, it's about $50,000. Stop, thought about. So if you kill this woman by mistake, you have to pay $50,000. $50,000. Sometimes $100,000. If she's skilled, she had a skill that nobody, she knew how to make something. It's $100,000. Double, 3 times the amount. It's a lot of money. It's not a joke. Well, you think you kill this woman, you pay her husband $150?
So many races.
Not your wife. I'm talking about regular wives. $50,000. Sorry. So that's the big chiddush here. That you don't kill him, even though it says mefurish in the Torah nefesh. Kill him. You should have seen. I said it because he gave me this face. Yeah, 150. That was the face he made. Okay. So that's the smach. It's a real smach. You're learning from Gzeir Shava. It's not a joke. This is not a here. This is a smach. But it's not a mefurish pasuk. Doesn't say in the pasuk, Yishali Mammon. Doesn't say that. So I need a okay. Avodah the avodah is in the Beis Hamikdash. So now, these are the 4 avodas that happen in the Beis Hamikdash by a carbon. The shchita, kabbalah, haylach, and zrika. First you shech the animal, then you have to receive the blood in a vessel. And then you take that blood, haylacha, to the mizbeach, and then by the mizbeach you toss it on the mizbeach. 4 avodas. These 4 avodas, you have to wear the garments. Shechita we won't talk about. You could have a certain intent while you're doing these avodas and ruin the carbon. If you have a pigul intent, you think as the kohen is performing one of these 4 things, he thinks he wants to mess with the Yisrael. He hates the guy. The guy's just spent $1,000 on a nice cow. He thinks to himself, I am going to eat this cow 3 days from now. It ruins the cow, toss the cow into the garbage. Those are the avodas. Now, which one of these things is not mefurish in the Torah? So if you think about it, here's a pasuk. V'shachat v'krivu v'zarku. The pasuk only says 3 things. So you have the first, v'shachat, and you have v'zarak. The 2 in between ones, Kabbalah and Oylacha, are not. We don't know exactly what it is. It says v'krivu. I don't know what this word means. What does it seem to us? V'hikrivu. What does that mean in Hebrew? Litkarev, to get close, to walk to. The Gemara is going to tell us, no, it actually means to receive the blood, but it doesn't make sense. So it means a little bit of both. It really means to receive the blood, but also to walk. But why does it say in such an interesting way? So, says the Gemara, Michtav Ksiva, and Avodas Michtav Ksiva, it says Mefurish in the Pasuk. Haylacha doesn't say Mefurish in the Pasuk. The Sanya. Ve'ikrivu zu kabal sadam. To come close means to receive the blood. So why does it say it in a way that it would seem like it's walking? Ve'ikrivu. The kohen should bring forward, he should walk the emurim to the mizbeach. Now obviously it doesn't mean that he should put it on the mizbeach. V'hikriv could also mean he should put it on the mizbeach. It can't mean that, because the next pasuk talks about, right afterwards it says, he should burn it on the mizbeach. So the word v'hikriv over here must mean that he's walking. It must be that he has a mitzvah to bring it to the ramp of the mizbeach. So then why does the Torah over here say v'hikrivu? If v'hikrivu in the other pasuk means to walk it. Over here, v'hikrivu means this. Picture right over here. If you look closely, you can see a kohen with a golden vessel receiving the blood as it squirts out of the neck of the animal. That's what v'hikrivu means. So why does the Torah say v'hikrivu using a word that means to walk? The answer is l'meimra dahilacha loitapka miklal kabbalah. Hilacha is also included in one of the four. So here's very interesting. If you learned Kachim, you know this halacha. It's not a big chiddush, but for many others, it's a massive chiddush. And that is that this right over here, halacha, is one of the four. So that's why it says vikrivu in a lashon of also walking. It means to receive, but it means walking also. This is one of the four. But you should know, you don't have to do it. You have to do 1, 2, and 4. You don't have to do 3. How can you not get away with not doing 3? What if you're by the mizbeach? You shechted it by the corner of the mizbeach. No mitzvah for you to go around the mizbeach to do halacha. You just pick up the blood and you toss it. You do kabbalah and you do zrika. That's the chiddush in the pasuk. Vikrivu. If you have to walk it, that's one of the avodas, and it's such an avodah that you have to wear the garment, and you could have intent in your head and ruin the carbon because it's a real avodah. It's one of the 4 avodas. But it's not a mukhrach. You don't have to do it. I don't need to do it if I don't have to. If I have very long hands and I'm able to go like this all the way to the mizbech, I don't have to do halacha. That's the chiddush. What? Yeah, but that's halacha. That would be halacha. That was one of the things they did. Yeah. I would think that's halacha though. Yeah, but they didn't move, but it's still bringing it closer. Okay, vikrivu. It's still in the. Maybe not. Tahara is Michtav Sivan. Why tell me it's a smach? It's mefurish in the Torah. The shear of a mikvah. How much? Doesn't say in the Torah you need 40 sa. So it's referring to gathered water. It's called psarai. Mayim shekol gufay oila behem. It has to be enough water that you go into the water and it covers your entire body. What is that? Amal, berum, sholish amos. 1 amma by 1 amma and 3 ammas in today's measurements, approximately 6 feet by 2 by 2 by 6. You just look at these pieces. Each one is 1.5 tefach and 1 finger. And it equals 2.5 sa, was the whole cheshbon we had, and that equals 40 sa. Tosfos just asks that most people, maybe he didn't see our generation, most people wouldn't fit in a 6-foot mikvah, he says. It's not enough. So he says you have to bend your head. It's not including the head, really, what Tosfos says. Ramayel Biderman says, because when you go to the mikvah, the main thing is that you should bend your head. You should go in ba'achna, ba'anava. Then the water is to top it off. Okay. Do we have time? I mean, this is the most famous joke, but we got to say it anyway. That I don't know when I said it. I probably said it a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Trump wanted to know what's going on So they told him, if you go to the mikvah and you just say, Vos Herzach, you'll find everything out. Anything you want to know. So he dresses up, he takes his blonde hair, makes it black, the whole thing, he puts on a little mustache, comes to the mikvah, Vos Herzach. So the guy says, oh, Vos Herzach, Trump's coming to the mikvah today. Well, you guys never heard the joke as if it's the first time you heard it? You seriously? I never said this joke. It's up. Because I said it last time about Obama. You guys are stam fools. Okay. I can't believe it. This I didn't say. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Okay.
Boy, that's such a great joke.
They laughed that it was the world's greatest joke. So why is it in 3-year books? I'm kidding.
Not even.
I know.
Not about Obama, not about Trump.
Says the Gemara.
The other ones were so bad. That's good.
I said a joke yesterday that I literally said a month before because Uncle Phil was there and he said, "Oh, you said it." And the other them laugh as if they never heard it. They never heard it. Okay. It was about when did I said the joke about when did I say? Because you weren't here. The one with my guest, I said it about the Chabadsker that gave a lot of wine in the morning and then at night there was wine, and he said, I'm not going to repeat the joke now. You know what I'm talking about? He said, I don't understand how come you don't turn on lights, but I definitely understand how come you don't drive. I know last night, but when did I say before? He said, oh, you just said it a month ago. Okay, fine. But I said it that it happened in my house. I said as if it was my guest, so then okay, we're about to hear a buzzer. You can turn off that speaker for now. Shkoyach. He wants to do the buzzer. He has to do it. Oh, thank you. Okay. Says so. The fact V'shiur Chachamim Meimikva Arbarim saw they were mishar. It doesn't say in the Torah 40 saw. We take it for granted. 40 saw. That's a smach. Tmois says by me tmois, whatever you want to call it. Michtav Siva. Okay, so sheretz, these are one of the shmona shratzim. There are only 8 shratzim in this world that if you touch after they die, these are all dead, by the way. They look kind of alive, but they're not. Pretend they're dead. If you touch them, you become tamei. Let's say you touch a cockroach, a disgusting cockroach, you're not tamei at all. It has to be shmona shratzim, the shmona. How much of the shmona shratzim? A kadasha. Here it is. It has to be something like a lentil. And it's a big chiddush. Because all of the Torah we have a kazayis.
That's good. That's funny. Much better than the other joke.
We have Raiders here. This is a 10, this is a 6. For me, that wasn't funny.
They like it.
Oh, Ben Schwartz and the Chevra and the 5 towns. Woo! And I see Chaim Peretz Levine. What's Chaim Peretz Levine doing there? That's him, no? He's everywhere. Wow. What a crowd. Unbelievable. I actually sat in that dining room. I came the first day, Aaron Hirsch. Why is he there? Because he's everywhere. He's also. Okay, Givaldik. Let's go weiter. We have stuff to do. So anyways, the big chiddush is, when it comes to a dead person, it's kazayis. You ever heard of a shir kadasha? Massive chiddush. Sorry. Maybe you need the entire sheretz. You need the whole thing. You need a full mouse. No, mehem from it. Maybe it should be a tiny little bit. Where do you come up with the lentil? Actually, you give a little bit that's like a full amount. How? This is a chaymet, according to Rashi, a snail. The smallest size snail, b'derech klal, is the size of a lentil. So we're going to take that size of a complete creature and put it on the rest of them. Now, it's not before in the Torah, it's a smach. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Doimer, kizanov halata, like the tail of a lizard. Also one of the Shemona Shratzim. By the way, the main sheretz, the picture of a sheretz you think is a mouse, it's actually the lizard. And the reason why its tail is so important is because when you cut the tail off, it keeps on jumping around. It has like its own little body going on there. And Memela, it's the size of a tail of a lata. That's Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. Arayas. All the Arayas, major psukim about Arayas, Michtak Sivam, Loi Nitzrecha, Lebitay manusasai the loik siva. We just turned to Yud Aleph on the base, sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of Chewy, Woody, and the Kale twins. Yesterday we didn't Balpeh. Sponsored by Moshe Kinsbursky in honor of Brian and Talia Edgar. It goes like this, Rabbi Isai. If somebody's ma'ana somebody rapes somebody, and he has a child, the Torah doesn't say that he's not allowed to marry that child. The Torah says you can't marry the granddaughter. Your daughter from this terrible act doesn't talk about. But it says you can't marry the granddaughter. Now you would say, well, it's pashut. Logic says, and that's called a kal v'chomer. If to the granddaughter you're usher and you get the death penalty, you get sreifa, certainly from your own daughter. But guess what? Ein einshim min adin. You can't punish somebody based on a kal v'chomer. Ve'mazirim min adin. And you can't warn somebody because of kal v'chomer. But it's logical. Too bad. Lebidim anusasa leiksiva. That doesn't say it in the Torah, and that's a smach. And what's the smach? So we have two limudim, one for the hazar, one for the warning. The heina is the iser. Zima is telling me what you get. You get the death penalty. It's by lead. Drink lead. Give him some lead to drink. Terrible thing. And that, Rabbi Isai, is only a gzer shava, not a mefurish pasuk. And it says all the way at the end of the Mishnah, based on it says hadinim va'avodos v'ataros v'atmeis v'arayos yeshlem ha'mash yisbuchu v'heinen gufi Torah. Just reading it, it would seem like these 4 or 5 things, hadinim, avodos, ataros, v'atmeis v'arayos, that is the main part of the Torah, gufi Torah. Says the Gemara, haniin hanachloi. What the first part of the Mishnah is not gufi Torah. Elaima hein v'hein gufi Torah. Hein v'hein hein is not hein v'hein, meaning the entire Mishnah is gufei Torah. Hadron Allah hakol chayavim, hadron Allah hakol chayavim, hadron Allah hakol chayavim. We just finished the first paragraph of Chagigah. Don't go home now. People are starting moving around. Don't celebrate so fast. Now, we're going into a ton of Agadah now, and this is what we call Kabbalah. We know that the Gemara has everything in it. The Ramah says, even though it says you should do a third of the day Torah, a third of the day Mishnah, when you learn Gemara, you yotze everything, because it has everything. It has Kabbalah, it has Nigla, Nistar, everything. When it comes to Kabbalah, I am certainly not an expert. I barely know anything in Kabbalah. We're going to read it the way it is. Those who enjoy the stuff could look in deeper. But here we go. So, mamish 4 or 5 days of just stuff that you really need to know what you're talking about. And it's here. The Gemara hides it in different places. Here's one of the places. It talks about Maisa Bereshis, Maisa Merkava, all the stuff that I don't understand anything about. Says the Mishnah. Sponsored by Pinny Goldman, who's getting married. His name is Aaron Pinchas ben Miriam Esther to Chaya Sarah Bas Rivka. The zivuk should be Oilel Yafa. Ein Darshan ba'arayis b'shloisha. The max that you could talk about arayis and isurim of arayis, the Gemara is going to explain why, is 3. Rashi says it means him and 2 more. As we're going to see in the Gemara is going to come to Maskana, it means him to 3 people. Veloy b'maisa bereshis b'shnayim. The max that you can talk to about bereshis, the creation of the world, and things like that I don't understand, 2 people. Again, it's going to be the Rebbe plus 2 people. Veloy b'merkava b'yachid, and not in Maisa Merkava, only the max is 1 person, not the 2. Unless the guy is a chacham, he's a Talmud chacham, and he understands things by himself, then fine. By the way, Rapingo says he gives a mashal. He says, if a kid climbs up a ladder, and he says he wants to grab the moon. So his mother says, get off the ladder. Why does she say get off the ladder? Not because she doesn't want him to catch the moon, because she doesn't want him to fall off the top of the ladder and hit his head. So that's what's going on here, in a way. Like, not that we are going to be able to grab and grasp. It's things that are beyond human comprehension. Space, time and space, these are things beyond, it's not possible for a human being to understand it. Where does the universe end? How far? How many gazillion years can you go? And what, there's no end, there's no wall? These are things that we'll never be able to understand. I don't care how great you are, you can't understand it. And Memela, when you try to understand it, you get yourself into hot water. You start thinking about things and it messes with your brain. Because these are things that are not possible to understand. So the Torah tells you, don't go there. Call him istak about bad varim. You look at these 4 things. Rasulai, it's better that he shouldn't have been created, says Rashi. Rasulullah means it's better that he shouldn't have been created. Kiloi balaylam. What are these four things? Mala mala, mala mata. What's above, what's below, malifnim, malachar, what's ahead and what's behind. And by asking sometimes, you ask questions about this, it's a b'giyan HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if you don't care about Hashem's kavod, it's better that you shouldn't have been created. There's a Taisus here. This is interesting. It says in Darshan Ma'aseh Bereishis, Pirush Rabbeinu Tam, Hu Shem Mem Beis Oisiyos Hayasim in Bereishis and Pasuk Shel Achrav. The Pasuk Bereishis has the Shem Hashem of 42 letters, and if you try to go into that, it's things I don't understand. But when it said the word Bereishis, so I told my Chavrusa, I said, the Vilna Gaon, he said you can learn the entire Torah from Bereishis. Yeah. So they asked him by opinion Ben, and he said, I forgot how it goes. Ben Rishon Tivda. Shloishim Yom Tivda. So he asked me, and where do you see tefillin from Bereishis? So I started thinking, this is what I came up with. I don't know if this is good. Think about it yourself. Let's see if you can come up with it. Beis, tefillin, roish, and yad. Look at that. It says roish, reish, aleph, shin, yad. It's a good thing you didn't ask me about like petach hamor or anything. This, I just got lucky over here. Beis in the tough, beis, tefillin, roish, yad. Anyway, fine. Next. Faher. Amriz bereisha v'leimer mukava b'yachid. Elio. Amriz bereisha v'leimer, I heard that. Amriz bereisha v'leimer mukava b'yachid. No, I got stuck on the second one. By Petach Hamar, I got stuck. Amriz bereisha v'leimer mukava b'yachid. You started off the Mishnah saying that a person should not read Merkava, he shouldn't start to understand Merkava when he's an individual. What kind of person are we talking about? Obviously, a Talmud Chacham. If he's not a Talmud Chacham, he's not going to get anywhere. He won't even get past the first word. So you're talking about a Talmud Chacham. And then a second later it says, unless he's a Talmud Chacham who understands by himself what's going on here. And therefore, the Gemara changes the whole pshat that Rashi said. Rashi said we're talking about the Rebbe plus two people, that's three. Ma'aseh Bereishis, the Rebbe plus one, that's two. Says the Gemara, no. In addition to the Rebbe, he shouldn't be talking to three. So it's four people total, not three people total. It's the Rebbe plus three. Lishnayim. The Rebbe should not teach someone unless he is smart and he understands. And what does he teach him? He gives him Rashi Prakim, a little bit of material, and let him go on his own. Let him figure out the rest by himself. He doesn't give it, he doesn't spoon feed it to him. My timer. Why can the Rebbe sit there and give a drasha to three people in a rise? We'll darshan from the pasuk. Says ish, that's two people. Psarai, ish, trei, sher psarai chad, or machmon ali sikru gali serva. You shouldn't come close to reveal the erva. In other words, to reveal the pshat in the pasuk of erva. You're revealing the Torah. That can't be. The Chsiv says ish in a bunch of places. Ish ki kal alikav. He's blessing Hashem. Ish ashayitim zar l'moilach. So again, hachanami, it has to be two people that bring their kid to the moilach. The rabbis. By the way, there was a guy that, true story, he made fun of the Gedolim. He was in the shul, he made fun of a gadol. Guys, doesn't know what he's talking about. He said in COVID you should do shaita. So the Rav said, let me ask you something. Could you tell me what the Shiva mitzvahs b'nei Noach are? Every menachai? I don't remember. He says, you don't know the Shiva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, and you're going to make fun of this gadol? Get out of here. So what are the Shiva mitzvahs b'nei Noach? Very, very simple way to remember it. Everybody can remember, so if the Rav ever asks you, you can make fun of Gdolim and tell him the 7 things. Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Daled. He didn't like it. I got a 0 on that, a 10 from him. Okay, whatever. Wow. Whew. Yeah, you and the guy from.
Oh, that's not good. Bad.
I think everybody understood it was a joke.
That is it. Bad.
Every Menachai, Birkas Hashem, Gezon Dayanim. Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet. That should be a schus for my son. Should be the truth of Bekarev. Well, that bizarre that he just gave me Barabim. I love it. Aleph, I'm kidding. I wish you were real advising me. Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet. Every Menachai, Birkas Hashem. It means to curse Hashem. Gezel, Dayanim. You have to have Dayanim. You have to have the last three are easy. The Gimel Chamurais. Avodah Zarah, Gil Arais, Shvichas Damim. What's Beis? Birkas Hashem. What's Gimel? Gezel. Dalid? Dayanim. Okay, so now we know that. Zok the Gemara. It's better than dive in the zoo. The rabbis and Nachrim Shum Zorim al Birkas Hashem. A guy is chayiv in Shiva Mizvene Noyach. What? Beis. Birkas Hashem. V'alav Avodah Zarah ki Yisrael. And of course the Shlosh Chamuros. So ish coming to add these things. Elo midchsiv ushmartem. You have to safeguard as mishmarti. Ushmartem trey. That's why you can't give a drasha and arayas to three people. Ushmartem trey, mishmarti chad. 2 + 1 = 3. So you shouldn't darshan this barabba. They shouldn't do from these toyevos. Don't darshan in front of 3 people. Oh, if that's the case, the same idea. What you can't darshan about Hilchos Shabbos, you can't give a shir about it. This is Rashi, like we learned in Tabel Amud, Bitimanu Sasai, the mother of a father-in-law, the mother of a mother-in-law. These are the Sisri Arayas. My timer. Why can't you darshan this? Say, oh, a mother-in-law's mother is Asr. And say it in front of, like right now, in front of you guys. Why am I allowed to say it? Because you don't have the Svar. My time is Svaru. If you have 2 people in front of a Rebbe, one is arguing with his Rebbe, and the other one is listening carefully. But when you have 3 people, like here, a room like this, more than 3 and more, one is arguing with the Rebbe, and then people go off and they start shmuzing by themselves. Meanwhile, they come up with the halacha and they say, oh, the mother of a mother-in-law is Asr, and they don't hear that halacha. And then they'll come to be mater certain arayis. Why dafka arayis? People are going to argue about halacha. They're going to get it, and they're going to forget. They're not going to hear the halacha. Arayis shani domamar gezel arayis. These 2 things: stealing and arayis. Nafshem chamdasim misavalam. Person has a tremendous tire for it. There was a story with the Chavetz Chaim at the Knesset G'dayla. They asked him, "What about the mechitza up there? It has a very short mechitza. What should we do?" So he said, "There's only one thing. There's no mechitza, whatever." So he said, "There's only one thing that says in the Torah, Kodesh Baruch Hu distanced himself from Klal Yisrael, and that's the worst tragedy that could ever happen in Klal Yisrael, and Hashem, and it's by arayis. So the more that we can be makbid on arayis, the better." Now, by the way, I was thinking to myself real quickly, Nafshi mechamdasam. I never, personally, I don't know, I can talk about myself. I had a taiva to snatch somebody's iPhone and run away, to jump into somebody's house in the middle of the night. It says everybody has a taiva for gezel. So there's a beautiful Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, and this could answer it. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter says, no one will ever take a pruta that belongs to somebody else. No one. But how do you know it's somebody else's? That you need a Shulchan Aruch. What does that mean? I'll give you a Maisa Shahaya that I witnessed here in this base medrash. One of the neighbors came. He says, "You guys are parking in my private spot. I could show you. It's a document. I bought it. Spots, our spots, my spots." Comes this guy and he says like this, "It's not yours." And I listened from the side and I was mamish laughing. And this is Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. It's not yours. You know why it's not yours? Because you allowed us to build this building. You didn't go to the cops and snitch on us. So Mela, that means you allowed it. And if you allowed it, you knew there's going to be a lot of people coming here. So Mela, you gave your shos, you were mevater your... Like, really? You're masking that it says. You're masking that it says? Yeah. So you just made a whole calculation, a svara, how come he was mevater to you? So Rabbi Isai, I don't think he'll find a single Rav that will be masking to him. And if a Rav is not maskim, so you park in that spot, you're a ganav. Yeah. Not only that, I'll tell you something else. If you park on a public sidewalk, and you cause one person to go around your car, ganav. Pasha the ganav. You're going to say, but I never stole, I never took money from him. Yeah, but it's not his. It's not his sidewalk. I made it my sidewalk. What, Hashem doesn't want me to come? First, be careful with the neighbors, and then come to the daf. Weiter. So, what? Which one? Yeah, no, but this, unfortunately, one time out. Unfortunately, so okay, I'll just what you're saying. Unfortunately, in our community, we're very nagua, unfortunately. When it comes to business, we take a little bit more, we shtick this way, we do this shtick that way, and it's money in our pocket that we don't deserve, and it's mamish gneva. We have to be careful with that also. It doesn't mean that you're going and climbing to somebody's house in the middle of the night. It means that you're not being careful with somebody else's money. You're mamish a ganav. Taking a pruta, you have to give it back. Sorry. That's what it means. You have it. Everybody's a type to make a little bit more money. You think that if you do this and this and that, and you trick him and you lie to him, and then Gneva.
When it comes to money, people are fine.
Zog the Gemara real quickly. Gezel nami. So maybe you shouldn't talk about Gezel. Maybe what I just did was awesome. Whether a person has the rice in front of him or not, he's always thinking about it. So there's a lot of big Yitzhar. Gezel b'fun of nafish, if it's right there and then, I got to take it, he takes it. Nobody thinks about stealing. All right, we'll have to stop here, unfortunately. Have a wonderful day.